Now, this book that you're working on now, that is
it's so
going
much
to
fun.
be published next year, Always Kiss Me Goodnight.
Finish it. It'll be published.
You will finish it.
I know. Each time, though, you never know.
And it's your Southern Ohio version of Henry James, The Turn of the Screw. Can you tell me anything about it, or why?
It really started back when I was doing my first master's in the feminist literature, and I did a journal entry for my prof, and I basically went down through, Madame Bovary, Anna Karenina, and Turn of the Screw was one of them. And it was fun to and it was a joke. I would do this and I would do this. And definitely in Turn of the Screw, when he says, and whatever you do, don't call me, she'd say, yeah, fat chance, buddy. If something goes wrong, I'm calling you. So, that was just a joke, stayed in the back of my head. And I taught Turn of the Screw a lot. I loved it. I taught it here at Ohio State. I taught it when I was a high school teacher. It was so rich, and it really is a masterpiece. It's just a fabulous piece of literature. And at the same time, when you see a premise like that, that's so juicy, you do want to write it yourself. And the idea isn't that you're going to do it better than James did, because it's a perfect book. And I thought, but if I took this, what would happen? And you start playing with it in the back of your mind, and finally it just gelled. And I thought, I have no idea what this is going to do, but I really, really want to try this. And once I got into it, it was so rich, because essentially what I'm doing, is ripping the heart out of Turn of the Screw. His book is about this, it's a perfect Gothic heroine. She's very young, she's very innocent, she's basically kind of dumb because she hasn't been out there, and she's placed in this house in the middle of the wilderness to protect these two little kids, and the isolation gets to her. And whether you believe there are ghosts or not, you can pretty much believe that she loses it, that she has gone crazy by the end. And I was never going to write a 20-year-old virgin. I mean, they're lovely people. I have nothing against them, but it's not, a journey I'm interested in. I like them when they're 30, 40, 50, 60, and bitter. They've been there. They've got some stuff, baggage. So I changed it to a woman in her 30s who was divorced from the man who was trying to hire her to go out. So she's talking in the first scene with her ex-husband. The whole thing is basically the same first scene, but when you put the new heroine in, everything shifts and changes. And what I found is I wrote that it was actually the reverse. If James's governess had some company, she'd have probably been okay. And Emmy gets too much company. She's out here. If she was left alone, she's intelligent, she's strong, she's with these kids, it's very calm, everything would have been all right. But people keep showing up. It's like a clown car. She opens the door and somebody else comes in. And the more people there are, the more the motion there is for the ghost to feed on. And so it builds and builds and builds. So it's inverting the plot, which of course changes the theme. And it's really fun to take this framework that James set up, put my heroine in it, and also, 100 years difference. That was 1898. This is, 2009. I'm not good on dates. Things have changed. Nothing works the same way. But the core is still there, of this woman struggling with ghosts and all the sexual feelings. And it's just, I'm loving it.
Wonderful. That sounds great. Speaking of sex scenes.
I shouldn't have said that word. I try to steer away from that in interviews because this always happens. Yes.
How, tell me your experience in writing your sex scenes. I mean, they're good.
You have a couple glasses of wine, you pretend your mother's never going to read it, you just let it rip.
Does it make you vulnerable?
Well,
when
the best
are
sex
reading?
Scenes are actually not sex scenes any more than, it's a jogging scene or an eating scene or whatever. The best scenes are scenes between a protagonist and antagonist who have a lot at stake and who are jockeying for position, who are trying to win something. You actually don't need to write every damn sex scene. If everything goes fine, you just say, and they had sex and it was fabulous. But you need the ones where things go wrong or things are not as expected. That's always the first time. Always the first time with any lover. You go in there with expectations. He or she has expectations. They're never the same thing. You find out stuff, so you're very, very vulnerable. And if you're dealing with that, if you're dealing with a character and what they're struggling over, which is often really imposing your own reality on the other person. This is what this means. No, this is what this means. But you're doing it all in physical action. At that point, they become really fascinating to write. But if you think that basically what you're doing is stereo instructions, he did this and then she put this here and then what? The thing is, everybody who reads your book has either had sex or seen it on TV. So they don't need the instructions. What they need is the emotional connection and the feelings that these people, because that's the ride they want. You always want to leave a lot of white space in your scenes, any scene, because reading is a collaboration. If you do it right, The reader comes in and collaborates with you and writes half of the book. And if you put down every single detail, you have shut the reader out of the book in anything. It's why I very rarely describe my characters. Basically, when you read most of my characters, you don't know, I mean, you know they're male or female, and that's about it. Because I want people to be able to read that book and visualize. And the same thing happens with the sex scene. You don't want to say, and then he did this, because 30% of your audience is going to go, ew, you know. Half of your audience thinks this is radical and half of your audience thinks this is boring. As long as you're trying to do a sex scene, you're going to fail. But if you've got these two people who are emotionally involved and all this stuff on the line, and that's what, then it's just another scene.
And you often describe the women as round. And I love that. The
round
men
gives
see
you a
them
lot
as
of,
round.
right.
And I think, oh, yes.
In my experience, which is limited, I don't want to, in my experience, men really would, round is good.
I love
I think it's just more sensual and it's more natural. And what is it, the most common size for a woman in America is a size 16? I think it's just really important to keep it relatable, which is why I wrote a book about Bet Me, called Bet Me, which is about a woman who many people in the story see as overweight. And I never say what size she wears or how much she weighs or how tall she is, because I could say she's a size 22 and I would lose a lot of readers who simply cannot conceive of a woman who's a size 22 evoking that kind, the relationship. On the other hand, if I say she's a size 12, people like me will go, she does not have a weight problem if she's a size 12. Exactly. I don't care if she's 4 foot tall. So you don't say that. You give context and then you let. I actually learned this on my first book. I had a hero named Jake who had a mustache, and I cannot tell you how many people have written to me and said, in my book, he doesn't have a mustache.
Is that right?
You just, you let them have what they want, because what's important is the interactions and the emotions and
the investment of
character.
The reader.
What they look like, unless it's really important to the plot for some reason, just isn't.
What do you read?
Right now I'm reading a lot of stuff on ghosts. My comfort read is Terry Pratchett. Oh. I think you almost have to read outside of your genre, and he's really far outside of my genre, but the Discworld. I adore Terry Pratchett. That's the other thing. Once you start reading, once you know structure and you can see the beauty of it and you start reading books, you keep thinking, this would have been so much better if she just pulled this here and then. So it's hard to read as a virgin. Yes. But I actually can with Pratchett. That I get so caught up in it and so indignant over the villains and so invested in the heroes. And anybody who names his hero Moist, so the guy has to go up and say, hi, I'm Moist. What? And he does it all the way through the book, and it never fails to make me laugh. So he's doing something right.
I'd like to finish up, please, with a few questions that are sort of short answer, sort of standard.
I don't do those. I'm sorry. You ask me a question, you get a book.
What do you like best about being a writer?
The hours. I can stay up and write till 4, and it's just me, and the world is very, very quiet, and all these stories come bubbling up, and then I can sleep till noon.
What do you like least?
The pressures of publishing. And I have a perfect situation. My editor is a goddess, and my agents are fabulous, but publishing can kill you.
What is the best writing job you've ever had?
Oh, writing novels.
What job would you like to have if you were not able to write books?
Well, there's the job I would have that I really love, which is teaching, and then there's the dream job. I'd love to be an actress, a character actress. But that's just a whole nother nightmare. It's like publishing. And teaching, I love teaching. Teaching's fabulous.
Complete this sentence. My readers would be surprised to learn that I
don't think there's anything my readers would be surprised to learn.
There are no secrets.
I blog, so there really are no secrets. My daughter has said, you don't have to tell them everything. But
your daughter works with you as...
My daughter and I are in partnership. She does the website,
Beautiful.
She does all the business stuff, she handles the lawyers, she handles the financial guys. All I have to do is write. It's perfect.
Oh,
I am the envy of every writer I know because she is brilliant. And my website's gorgeous.
Yes,
she's the one. She says, now you have to change this up, and she protects me. As she said, you will never Twitter. Never. You will. I think, okay, I won't.
It's simply not allowed,
yes.
Mom.
I know the disaster that would be. You will never Twitter. So I do whatever she tells me.
Well, Jenny, thank you so much for talking with us
today. Oh, this has been
today.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.